What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and the overall markets. I'm going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a very important day for Tesla. We're seeing a new setup that's developing, which you should be watching for as time goes on. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. So in my video from the morning, I mentioned that there was a good buying opportunity in Tesla as we saw this dip back down towards the 445 area. And I said that Tesla will likely try to bounce back up towards 460. We actually went up a little bit higher to fill this gap up here, only to come back down. Overall, Tesla's holding up very nicely, but whether we continue to pump or get a big rug pull now depends a lot on what's about to happen. Since tomorrow we have the 2025 annual shareholder meeting for Tesla, it's going to be once again for Thursday, November 6th, 2025 at 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That's going to be very important for Tesla's major decisions are about to be made for the company. For those who don't know, 3 p.m. Central Time is going to be 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And these are going to be the other times for the different time zones in the US. So, in case you guys are confused about the time in which this is going to happen, 3 p.m. Central Time is once again when this is going to be starting. For other pieces of news out there, keep in mind that there's been a lot of news about how Elon Musk's overall pay package is undergoing a lot of controversy right now because some important sovereign wealth funds are just saying that they don't want to vote in favor of it, whereas other investors are saying that it's very necessary to keep Elon Musk at Tesla. So it's going to be very important. Elon Musk's pay package is going to incentivize him to stay with the company. If it's not voted upon and we don't really get the right votes, this could be a little bit more negative, at least for Tesla stock. If anything, looking at the proposition, this could help Elon Musk get a stake of about 29% of the company, which is a good amount to give him control over the company, more power over it when they develop the robots and such. But simultaneously, he's not going to be a dictator, and he could still be removed in case something happens by the majority of shareholders. So Elon Musk just wants to have a little bit more power over the company as they develop those robots and such. Excuse me, and that's what Elon Musk has been talking about. For other pieces of news, this is what Tesla's going to be going over tomorrow. The first thing that's very important is going to be Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay package. The majority of Tesla shareholders are saying that they have been in favor of this the last time this was proposed, and now we're seeing major Tesla shareholders saying that Elon Musk needs to get this pay package or else he's going to likely walk away from the company. It's going to be very detrimental for Tesla if this does not end up working out, and I believe the majority of shareholders will vote in favor of this as they did last time. On top of this, Tesla is going to be looking to see if it's going to be investing more into XAI. This will help them to develop their robotics and look at different sectors of that development process. So we're going to see if they end up looking to see more investments into the company or not. That's another thing that shareholders will be looking into. And then simultaneously, there's going to be a lot of other proposals coming out. We're going to see what happens when it comes to their overall compensation plans. There's going to be other things going on involving audits to be looked at, and the list goes on, at least for now. So keep all that in mind. There's a lot of things that Tesla will be voting for, and it's going to have a very, very big effect on the company and Elon Musk. So it's going to be very important. Expect some volatility when this comes out. There was negative news about Tesla's sales declining in Europe that came out this morning in Germany, the UK, and different regions, which is why Tesla dipped in, but now it's trying to bounce. And so far, we're holding up very, very nicely. There is a bullish and a bearish case, though, and that's why you want to be very careful. And I like to be very unbiased about this. So, although we're pushing right now, we're trying to pump like this. My concern is that, the bulls, first off, will argue that, look, if we're still bullish, you want to continue to break and hold above 465. If we do, we could be looking for these highs to be retested. That's the more bullish case. But my concern is that there's also a bearish case, which is that this could also resemble a left shoulder, a head, and the right shoulder. And if Tesla gets a rejection, and if we start dumping after the shareholder meeting, there is a gap down here at 433 to fill. I say this because sometimes after Tesla has big events like earnings or deliveries, after these big events, sometimes Tesla's share price ends up dumping. That's why you want to be very, very careful with all of this that's coming out. So, for example, when Tesla announced their deliveries, right, for Q2, we saw the share price pump to 480, then just dumped despite having record deliveries. My point is sometimes after big events, Tesla ends up selling off. So in case that happens, there is a bearish scenario, a head and shoulders just in case. For more pieces of news, tomorrow is going to be Thursday, November 6th, 2025. We just have a couple of Fed speakers coming out. We just have Barr and Williams from the Fed at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's pretty much it. The initial jobless claims data will likely not be coming out due to the government shutdown, and that is persisting. However, what is good about this is that some politicians are coming out and saying that they are once again willing to vote in favor of the opposing party's spending bill just to get the government funded. I hope that happens as soon as possible. I do believe it's going to happen soon because, this is going on for way too long. This has been dragging out for too long, and eventually the government has to be funded. Other pieces of news is this is what the earnings calendar looks like. There's nothing too much coming out for the rest of the week. And President Trump helped pump the markets today. He said that we have the greatest economy right now. He also mentioned that this is the golden age of America, and GDP growth should be at 4.2% or better in the US. That's what President Trump had said. He's saying that it's going to be triple or quadruple that of almost any other country in the world, and he's very optimistic. He also mentioned that the stock market's going to look for new highs in the future, so President Trump is confident the stock market's going to bounce. And that's despite the fact that his tariffs are under review from the Supreme Court right now. The oral arguments are continuing. We're going to see what happens for now. So keep that all in mind. What do I see for the markets in Tesla? Well, honestly, there's a bullish and a bearish case. It does look like Tesla may consolidate between 465 and 455 tomorrow. I think we're going to see some consolidation like this. And then the shareholder meeting is going to either launch this to new highs. There is a bullish case, which is going to be the inverse head and shoulders, leading to a nice accumulation. But the bearish case is that this is a left shoulder, a head and a right shoulder, and we're about to dump back down to fill the gap over here at 433. I do want to warn you to be careful because sometimes after Tesla's big events, we do get a rug pull, and we already pumped so much. We're up to like 4% already, approaching the big shareholder meeting. So we'll see how it goes if we get some kind of rug pull or not. Tomorrow, I just see a lot of consolidation to start things off. Then we have to wait and see what happens with this shareholder meeting to see what kind of reaction Tesla gets, whether it pumps a lot higher or dumps. The current technicals are bullish. We're making higher highs and higher lows, so we do favor upside for now. We might consolidate in the morning, then start breaking out later on. That's the most likely possibility, but we'll see just to be safe because with Tesla, you never know. And there is still that gap below. So I'm going to be very unbiased with this, even though technicals are technically more bullish for now. Now, spying the QQQ, we have to see if we could continue to break out right here. There's a possible inverse head and shoulders on SPY's 30 minutes time frame. So we're going to see if this pans out. As you can tell, we have a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. If we could bounce near this like 675 to 677 area, we might dip and then consolidate. But we need to basically bounce and break past 681 to be bullish to see the inverse head and shoulders pan out for 685. But if we lose 682, look for a dump to 668. Hopefully, we get the bounce with the inverse head and shoulders, so we'll see how it goes. But there is potential to bounce. Same thing with the QQQ. We still have this gap to fill. We have a potential left shoulder, head, and right shoulder. If we lose 617, we're looking for a dump. So 620 and 617 are the supports. But if we hold this, we're looking for a rebound attempt to fill this gap at 629. So give this the time it needs. For the IWM, we're also consolidating right here. We're going to see if we end up retesting 244 or not. And if we bounce, it might be dipping a little bit, and we'll see how it goes. But overall, when you look at the 4-hour time frame, the Russell 2000 is still holding up well. I need to see us hold above 245 to continue. I do think it might dip to like 243 before it tries to bounce, but overall it's doing well. ES also has an inverse head and shoulders, could retest 6,800. We'll see if we bounce off that or not. As long as we don't do 6,750, we're going to be favoring a dip and a bounce, just like this for an inverse head and shoulders. But lose this red line right here, this red 200 EMA at 6,760, then there's a risk of downside that still exists. NQ also has an inverse head and shoulders. If we lose support right here, 25,600, looking for a dump. But if we hold this, we could be looking for a rebound move back up towards 26,000 for the inverse head and shoulders like setup. Hopefully this pans out. We also came down to fill the gap and bounced off this resistance becoming support. So far we're holding up well. Bitcoin also has an inverse head and shoulders. We could be favoring 105,000. We'll see if we bounce or not. For other tickers, we have Tesla. Once again, there's a bullish and a bearish case. The bears will argue there's a head and shoulders approaching the shareholder meeting, but the bulls will argue that it's a trap and that this is a bigger accumulation. So look for consolidation between 455 and 465, mostly for tomorrow. Then we'll see what happens if we get some kind of dip or not. So watch that and we'll see how it goes. Nvidia's in the middle. It's showing a little bit of weakness. This is making lower highs. We need to hold above 200 to really bounce. It might try to bounce from 198 to 200, and we'll see if we reject. If we lose 194, though, we could be looking for a dump, but I do see a small bounce that could be coming. On Apple, we're also consolidating. We could be looking for 272 as our potential targets. On Netflix, we're also forming a divergence. We're going to be looking for 1100 to see if that breaks. If so, we're looking for 1105. For MSTR, we're also trying to bounce here. We're looking for essentially 261. We'll see how it goes. Celsius also has an inverse head and shoulder, so we're going to see if we break 61. If not, we're looking for 62.5. Supermicro is also on a bit of a downtrend. We're going to see if we could hold 40 or not. There's a good chance we start dipping back down towards the 40 area, and we'll see what happens. Palantir also has a nice looking bounce right here. We could be looking for 195, and we'll see what happens. Look for a temporary move up, and we'll see how it goes. Rivian looks more bullish. We could be retesting 14.75 to 15 before it tries to bounce, but there might be some downside risk. SoFi has a nice accumulation. As long as we don't lose 29.8, we're looking for a bounce towards 30. Overall, it's holding up quite nicely. AMD is also trying to bounce for 260. It has some upside potential. ARM is going to be retesting 167. We'll see if it breaks or not. PayPal is going to be favoring 68.24 to 69 for some upside. Coinbase is going to be favoring 326 for some temporary upside. Amazon is going to likely retest 252. In my opinion, I see a temporary bounce coming. Meta may be retesting 640, and then eventually 654 could be coming for a temporary bounce off this falling wedge. So it is due for a small bounce for 654. Google could also be looking for an attempt for 288. And overall, I think the market has potential to bounce. We're going to see if the VIX is about to reject here or if we're about to form an inverse head and shoulders to break out. Could go either way, so watch your levels and be very unbiased. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. I think SPY and the QQQ are holding up and we favor upside. And this could also help Tesla. Technically speaking, Tesla looks a bit more bullish as we're making higher highs and higher lows. And the most likely possibility is that we consolidate and then we look for an attempt to go higher approaching the shareholder meeting. But just to be safe, there's also a bearish case, which is that in case we don't break 465, right, there's also the head and shoulders that could form. Although it's looking less likely, it's more likely we go higher looking at the setup. You never know what's going to happen with the shareholder meeting, and you want to be very unbiased because sometimes unexpected things happen after these big events. So we do look bullish, technically speaking. We're going to likely consolidate and try to go for 465 to 470. But like I said before, that's just technical analysis. That's not fully sufficient when you have a big event like this. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, as it's going to be a very important day for Tesla stock. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a good rest of your guys' days, and peace out.